So some of us have logged in from different countries. Some of us are here, in the Middle East, in the same city where I am. I'm in the city. I'm in the city in the Middle East, and though I'm not a citizen of this country, I have moved here. I'm a foreign worker here in this land. I'm an expat. In order for me to thrive and function in this land or in the city or in this country, I need to learn the laws and be respectful and mindful of the laws of this land and operate accordingly, carefully, so that I don't violate any laws of this land. Because if I do violate the laws of this land, there will be consequences. But at the same time, I also, in order for me to enjoy certain blessings, I also need to be aware of certain laws of this land as well. Same thing is true in India. If I go back to India, I've not grown up in India, but if I were to go back to India, relocate there, I'll need to relearn some of the laws of the land. What are the citizenship benefits I have as an Indian citizen, and so on? What are the tax benefits that I can avail? How can I avoid paying some taxes, and so on? What investments can I make to avoid paying some taxes? So my point is that there is certain knowledge that I'll have to pursue and acquire in order to have some benefits. If I migrate to the US or to the UK or to Australia or any other country, again, I'll have to learn. I have to gain some knowledge of how is it that I can thrive in this foreign land, in this foreign atmosphere, right? So my point is that we have all been invited. Jesus, by the shedding of his blood, has made a way for us to enter the kingdom of God, where there's joy and blessing and peace and righteousness. But here's the thing. He has made a way for us to enter, but he's also inviting us to understand how his kingdom operates. What are those citizenship benefits? Right? If I can give you an analogy, I can't remember when I first withdrew money from an ATM, but I do remember recently I was visiting an ATM and there was this very simple laborer, elderly man. I think he was a blue collar worker, and he was asking me for help because he didn't know how to withdraw money from the ATM. And I helped him withdraw money from the ATM, and it just made me realize, wow, this individual has money in their account, but they do not know how to withdraw it and get it in their hand. I had to teach that person. This person did not have knowledge on how to operate, use. He had the card in his hand, but he did not know how to make the withdrawal. In the same way, I believe that Jesus has purchased blessings that are beyond our knowledge, beyond our understanding. Through the cross, through his blood, he has purchased incredible blessings. But here's a challenge for us. We need to acquire knowledge. We need to acquire revelation. We need to acquire kingdom understanding in order to make the withdrawal. Make the withdrawal from heaven's ATM. And so my point again is I come back to the very beginning, right? Tax collectors and notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. But this made the Pharisees and the teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. The point I'm trying to make is that um, the kingdom is such that it's not about how many scriptures and how many verses you know. It's about the attitude of the heart. How hungry are you for the words of Jesus? How hungry are you to learn? Right? The Pharisees and the teachers of the law who knew more scriptures were not able to listen to Jesus. But the tax collectors and the notorious sinners were hungry for the words of Jesus, right? And this is what Jesus tells the Pharisees. He tells them, you hypocrites, as I was right when he prophesied about you, that these people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. And this is such a scary verse because I sometimes wonder, would Jesus say the same thing to many denominations and to many pastors and church leaders today? Would he tell them? Would he tell believers? Would he tell me? You honor me with your lips, but your heart is far from me. Would he tell me, you worship me in vain? The teachings are just merely human rules. I'm sure none of us want to ever be told this. or none of us may ever want to hear Jesus say this, right? That you honor me with your lips, but your heart is far from me. You worship me in vain. Your teachings are just human rules. But here's the reality. If Jesus said this to the Pharisees, it's worth wondering and considering how many churches today is Jesus saying this to even now. If you look at the book of Revelation, there are 7 churches in the book of Revelation. And out of 7 churches in the book of Revelation, 5 were rebuked and only 2 were applauded and commended. You can read this for yourself in Revelation chapter 1 to 3. Out of the 7 churches, 5 churches were rebuked, but only 2 churches were applauded and commended by Jesus, right? And so that's something to think about. That's something to think about. And so we're going to go into today's session, and I want to invite you to embrace a kingdom mindset, right? Um, the 2 things I want to leave with you here before we go into the session today is this. Jesus mentioned the kingdom uh, over 50 times in the Gospels, but he mentioned the word church twice. And even then, in English, we call it church, but in the original Greek, which is the language in which the New Testament was written originally, the Greek word for church in the New Testament is ecclesia. So he meant the word ecclesia is mentioned twice, but the word kingdom, kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God, and so on, the word kingdom, he spoke about it over 50 times. All right. And so he spoke more about kingdom than church. But unfortunately, what we do today in church is we speak more about church than we do about kingdom. And so, as a believer, for the first 10 years of my Christian life, I was more aware about church protocol and how the church functions and operates. But I was not aware of how the kingdom operates, how God works, right? And I think that's a tragedy that exists even today across denominations, believers of all age groups, right? We know more about how the church functions and operates, but we don't know about how Jesus functions and operates. We don't know about how the kingdom of God functions and operates. How can we enjoy those kingdom benefits? What are the kingdom citizenship benefits? What are the citizenship benefits of every believer? All right. So